Hi, I'm John, and this is Mike from RJ Groner Company, and we're here for the This Time Do It Right podcast. I guess today's topic, we got a couple topics we want to talk about. We got a lot that we want to talk about.
I think the first thing we wanted to talk about was PEs. Now, most of you out there probably don't even know what I'm talking about. PE stands for private equity. And although it sounds like something really nice, in the world today of business, a private equity firm is either a national or international company that swoops in and buys up local business owners. Sometimes it works out very well for the business owner, but in a lot of cases, the rules and regulations that they require for a buyout from a local business owner doesn't work out so well. But
Well, I think
that's not what we really want to talk about.
You're treating it very nice on one side of it.
Am I?
Yeah, let's talk about what it really is. It's big Wall Street.
It is.
Buying up small mom and pop companies, and now those new companies are beholden to stockholders, to shareholders, and required to make a return on those investments. And it is changing the business model for the home service industry dramatically. We had seen it starting around COVID. It was something on our peripheral, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then all of a sudden in the Lehigh Valley, it started to explode. So a lot of companies started getting bought up. Now, in some cases, Big Wall Street kept those company names in place, but just completely changed the way business is done. And in some cases, they didn't. They rebranded themselves as what they actually are, which is just a very large company. And changed how, or I shouldn't say changed how, but sort of changed the fundamental principles of what we went into business for. Okay, so let's be honest, Mike, we like helping people, okay? We're also a business, we need to make money, that's all understood, okay? We have great employees, we want to take good care of our employees. We charge the prices we charge so that we can take good care of our employees, because if our employees are well taken care of, who do they take care of?
The customers.
Absolutely take care of the customer.
If they're happy and they enjoy their work, they're going to do a good job.
Yep.
And they're always going to be concerned about what we hold as our number one priority, which
Yep.
is take care of the customer. Something about these Wall Street companies that come in and buy out local companies, we've seen it right here in our area quite a bit lately. We've been approached, and I'm not even exaggerating, we've been approached at least 3 or 4 times a week at this point by these large conglomerates that want to buy our company. We're not interested.
No, and what does that tell you? What does it tell you when all these companies keep showing up to try and buy small operations?
Well, the first thing it tells you is that they see a good company, or they see a company that they can turn around. And they are only, like you said, interested in profits because they have shareholders that they have to be accountable to. And quite frankly, that's not our business model, and it never will be.
No.
Because they could care less about, number one, the employees, and number two, the customer. They only care about the bottom line. And like I said, we've seen it locally. We know a roofing contractor locally, we know an HVAC contractor locally that have all been taken over by private equity companies. And it's almost immediately, well, in this case, the one HVAC company locally, actually there were several, we get phone calls immediately from their employees that they're looking for jobs.
Yeah.
And why? Why are they looking for jobs? What do they usually say?
They're now being forced to sell nonstop. Doesn't matter what is being done, they need to sell. Now, I want to preface this by saying not all big companies, even some of these private equity companies, are bad. Let's just get that.
Oh no, absolutely
Some have
not.
a general interest.
Like I said, some of them come into a struggling company.
Yep.
They buy them out. The owner gets a nice amount of money to either retire or start another business or whatever they want to do. And they turn the company around.
Yep.
And they do a very good job doing that because they're profit driven. But the ones that I've seen locally,
they're big.
They're big.
They're big.
They're huge. They're international companies, actually.
They're big.
And, you know, they just don't operate the way we do.
No, because let's take our case as an example, okay? And then there are many other small companies in the area here that have the same type of setup. You are the owner of the company. You are the buck stops here, okay? If a customer has a problem, if there's an issue or something with an employee, Mike is the owner. He is the deciding factor. You make the ultimate decision.
And that's what we've heard the biggest complaint is
Right.
from the customer. So let's say I'm a Wall Street private equity company. I'm all over the country. I'm international. I buy out RJ Groner, okay, as a perfect example. What's the first thing that happens? You have a problem. You're a customer, and you make a phone call. And what do you get? First of all, you're not going to get a live person. That's for sure. Secondly, you're not going to get anybody. And it'll be, leave a message, we'll get back to you. And when do they get back to you? They're huge.
Yeah.
They're not going to get back to you for quite a while. And guess what? The first phone call you may get from them is, how can I help you? Even though you've left an extended message as to what your problem is, this person has no clue, and they just want to return the phone call. And then you have to explain yourself all over again. And then what happens? We'll get back to you. So it's a whole different way of doing business. It's a large corporation.
They set up layers.
Yeah.
You just you don't have the ability to get to somebody to resolve your issue.
Exactly.
So right there, one of the biggest tells, okay, is if you're dealing with a company where you know that the owner's still involved, if you need help, if you're a customer, if something isn't right, you have somebody you can go to that's going to make a difference. Unfortunately, when you get into these bigger companies, and this is not just our industry, look at healthcare, look at big retail.
It's everywhere.
You are not going to get somebody who's going to help you out.
And think about this. This is another thing that we do all the time, giving back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
You're a large corporation. Do you really care about the local Rotary Club? Do you really care about the local Lions Club? Do you really care about any of the local issues that are going around in your community? No. You're concerned with world politics, maybe national politics, but you certainly are not involved in what's going on locally. As owners, local mom and pop operations are involved in the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the Kiwanis. You can go on and on and on, the Elks Club, the Moose Club. They're involved in all these local organizations. Guess what? These companies have no owner locally.
Right.
You're never going to get to talk to the owner.
When you're chasing the dollar, when you have shareholders, you're beholden to one person only. That's the shareholder.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm not saying you wouldn't do a good job for the customer, but your intentions and your business model is set up very different from our business model.
Correct.
Now, the one thing that RJ Groner still does that a lot of these PE firms don't necessarily do, we do a lot of repair work, okay? We do a lot of finding the right solution for the customer. In some cases, yeah, you have to replace a piece of equipment. In other cases, it can be fixed. The business model for a lot of these larger companies is there's no fix, there's replace. You're not replacing, they move on. They have it down to a science, and they do. They understand the consumer, they run their spreadsheets, they know if they get X amount of leads that come in, they're going to flip those leads. They specifically teach their people, their technicians, how to flip those leads. And I'll give you an example of how it actually works. So I come to your house, and again, I do want to say this is not every company out there, but the ones that we've been seeing in the area certainly have this playbook down packed. Come to your house, I am well dressed. I look like I haven't touched anything dirty ever in this game. Mm-hmm. I greet you at the door. I go down, I have a quick look at your equipment. Maybe I'm just doing a basic tune-up on your equipment. Then I come upstairs and I go, hey, Mike, can we sit down and talk? I want to show you a couple things that I found. I want to discuss a couple of issues. And there's some recommendations here that I really think you need to take advantage of. So they sit you down at your kitchen table. Meanwhile, they were there to do a cleaning on your unit. They spent maybe 15 minutes down there doing something. Now they're up at your kitchen table and they're giving you these just book of options that they're trying to get you to buy into. And if you're not having it, they're going to move on. Their interest isn't there anymore. But on the back end, those technicians are being told, okay, you have a quota that you have to meet. Okay, so they're gonna sit to push for a while to try and get that sale, whatever it may be, across the table.
Yeah, and that's one of the complaints we've heard about some of the employees who have tried to leave these Wall Street firms once they come in and take over, is that, you know, I'm a technician. I'm not a salesman. I want to do my job. I've been trained all these years. I have all this experience, and I can't use it. They want me in and out of a house in 15 minutes.
Yep. If there's nothing there, I got to move on.
And you know what? It's not just our industry. Think of the medical industry today. I personally know so many doctors who have either retired
Yes.
or moved to different locations because what do? These large corporations, they merge and they take over until they're this huge corporation, and they tell these doctors, you can only spend so many minutes with every patient. We want you to move on, move. We have a minimum amount of patients we want you to see every day. I've personally heard this from some of my doctors. I've had 2 doctors in the last 3 years retire over this. They just said, you know, I'm not going to put up with this corporate stuff anymore. So it's not just our industry, and it's almost every industry. And, you know, they're swooping in, and they're all over. Like I said, 3 or 4 calls a week. It's either an email or a phone call. We even get text messages. I don't know how they got my number, but they find a way. And, you know, can we meet? Can we talk? And some of the other things, and, you know, maybe this is a little bit too much talk about it, but we did experience one example, and this is another way they do things. They make money whether they buy you or not. And this is what they do. They come in and they say, you know what? Your property and your business and your model isn't really a good marketable company right now, but we can show you how to turn your company into a marketable company that we would be interested in buying. And what's that going to cost? Oh, $20,000 or $30,000. But we'll come in, we'll look at your books, we'll look at your sales, we'll interview all your employees to find out who's doing a good job and who is, and all of this. And it's only going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars for us to tell you what we'd like you to do so we can buy you out. I mean, it's amazing what they do. So they make money, and even if you look at it and you pay them the 20 or 30 or whatever it is, and they do all this, and they analyze your whole company, and you say no, they don't care. They just walked away with a bunch of money for basically giving you some analytics.
It's the Wild West. I want to give you another example and something that sets us apart. Now, you've had a policy in place for, I think I've been with you for 20 years now, and maybe even longer than that. Our most vulnerable customers out there, okay, typically are senior citizens. Now, I want to preface this conversation by saying there are a lot of senior citizens who are sharp as a tack out there, okay, and know what's going on. But in the cases where we find seniors that are potentially widows or widowers that are living on their own, you have a very strict policy that if there is something major at that house, that we must try and reach out either to a family member, a close friend, somebody else to show what we have found, what the issues are, and explain it to them as well. We do not sell repairs or equipment to senior citizens who are in a vulnerable position unless we have somebody else who's available. Now, obviously, if they're in a desperate situation, we don't leave somebody without heat. We're going to figure something out, but we are not going to sit down at the table with them and work out, all of these products that they may need and all these other things and confuse that customer. And that's been a policy of yours for a long time. And I'll tell you what, it has kept us above board, kept our integrity in place. We make sure that we do not take advantage of these most vulnerable
Absolutely,
customers.
And they're never going to have a policy like that.
No, because it's who are the easiest people to take advantage of, Mike? Right. Our senior population.
Yes. And here's something else I just thought of when you mentioned senior population. So, do you think the contest that we ran last year would ever be run by a large Wall Street private equity company who just bought out R.J. Groner or someone else in the area? When we did the contest for the oldest furnace in the Poconos, and that sweet, sweet lady that we gave a brand new furnace to. And then something else we did a, not a contest, but it was done through an organization we belong to. the Oil Heat Council,
Yep.
where a young Marine, I believe he was a Marine, was struggling and just bought a house and had all kinds of issues at the house. And we went in and put a new boiler in for him.
Yep.
So, they don't do anything like that. They don't give back to the community like that. You hear some of these things from some huge restaurant chains who say, for every dinner for this month, we're going to take 50 cents or $1 out and give it to, some organization. You're talking about billion-dollar corporations.
Yep.
You know what $1 is to them? I mean, when we give back.
I think we have to point out too that there is some.
By the way, we're doing a little construction here.
Yeah,
RJ
and we were
Groner.
not expecting it to go at
Yeah.
the same time as the podcast today.
Actually, the truth is that's a Wall Street PE company banging
clawing
on
at
the
the door.
We said no, but they're not taking it.
No. Well, one thing to follow up on your point that you were just saying, Mike. A big part of the reason why we give back is because your personal philosophy in there is that the community did good for you, and you want to do good for the community.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, this is our 96th year.
yeah.
We couldn't have done that without help from not only our customers but the local community. We've, when you talk about consulting, we don't need a big national company to come in and consult with us and tell us how to do things. We've dealt with so many local consultants and different groups. Chamber of Commerce, for example, did so much for us, years past that, advice for business and help. And you went through Leadership Pocono,
Yep.
which was a great organization.
Met a lot of good people there.
And
Met George. So
yeah, we met George.
You don't know who George is, but he's in the background helping us out. So
Yep.
So
And George Roberts Productions, we'll give him a
plug
there.
Nice job, Mike. Nice job.
But yeah, I mean, and just think about that, the help that we've gotten from George and Connie alone. You're not going to see that with these companies. It's
No, what you're
never
gonna-
going to happen. They're not going to be in touch with local organizations like
What
we
they're
are.
going to do is they're going to flood the internet with ads. Just like the car dealerships, they float you with those ads that you're going to get something cheap if you buy a unit. They're going to get it for $60, whatever it may be. And I'm just using that as a number out there. And it's not. It's just a give me tactic to get me in the door. Okay, and then you're going to get bombarded and most likely pressured into something.
Wow.
So and it's a tough market to operate in because Big Wall Street saw that they can continue to fleece the consumer and found another way to get at your money. And at least I guess we could go on for hours on this topic. But I think I just want to leave a couple things for anybody listening out there. Okay, do your due diligence, all right? No matter what company comes in, if you've got a company, if you need a new HVAC system, air conditioning boiler, whatever it may be, get a second opinion, okay? Get a second opinion. We will come out. If you're in our service area, you have another company that's out there, give RJ Groner a call. There's a very good chance we'll come out, and we probably won't even charge to come out, and we'll verify. And we've done that. And we've had companies that we verified for that they were legitimate. They found a legitimate problem. And we said, absolutely, go with this company. They're giving you a great price, do what they got to do. And in other cases, we found maybe things weren't so above board, and at least we gave that customer some other options that they could work with. So that's one thing I want to put out there. The second thing is, and it's just a little funny anecdote for me, I say to customers when they're dealing with a lot of these Wall Street firms is, beware the white shirts. Okay, if these guys are coming in, and again, I can't stress this enough, if they're coming in a white shirt, they smell great, beautiful haircut, they got their little iPad tucked under their arm, and they got a wrench and a flashlight, there's a pretty good chance that they're coming to sell you something. So, just be mindful of that. And, if you want that confidence to buy from a company that if there's a problem, you can get all the way up the food chain and get that problem resolved, you're dealing local. So, again.
And believe me, I'm not just saying this as a plug for RJ Groner. Please, do your business locally.
Yeah.
As much as you possibly can. Local restaurants, local roofing contractors, local builders.
Yep.
The
money
we've got
stays
some
here.
national builders that I just found out bought out one of our local companies that's been in business for, 40, 50 years.
Yep.
They're bought out by a national chain. Try, and I realize you want quality, you want, convenience. But what's better than doing business with local people?
Well, we're going to
They're
deliver
your
that
neighbors.
quality.
They're your friends.
That's
you
the
know.
difference, is we're going to deliver that quality because our team isn't coming from 2 hours away to do work at your house and then
Right.
disappearing and you're never going to see them again. So if you want more information from a great local company with a great owner who takes great care of his customers and people, and I know I'm putting some shameless plugs in there, give us a call. Look us up online, rjgroner.com. You can now, I don't know if I told you this, you can now book service calls with RJ Groner online. You can go online and book a service call. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You can find us on the web. You can give us a call at our phone number that we've had for God knows how many years, 570-421-7260.
And something else people don't know, probably, you can text us at that number.
Absolutely.
You don't have to call us. If you're busy and you just want to shoot us a text, ask us a question, tell us what your problem is, just shoot us a text.
And until we see you again, remember,
This time,
do it right.